Hello, and welcome to BASECAMP, the best way to start your day. I'm Jack, and I'm really glad that you joined us. BASECAMP is a tool that helps you develop the habit of spending daily time with God. And when we left off in our story in Exodus, Moses was doubting everything. He said, I'm not good enough. I have no authority. I can't even speak right. No one is going to listen to me, and I just don't want to. Please send someone else. He doesn't want to listen to God or obey what God is calling him to do. But God responds kindly to him by saying, I will be with you. I am God. I can do miraculous things. I made you, and I know your weaknesses and brokenness, and I want to use you. Now go. So what does Moses do? That is what we're going to find out here today on BASECAMP. So go ahead and crack open your Bibles to Exodus chapter 4. We'll be starting in verse 18 and finishing out the chapter. And there's a lot of little things that happen in our story today. So by the end of today, we'll be stopping and explaining a ton. So bear with me. We're going to go ahead and read and set the scene by reading verses 18 through 20. So go ahead and do that now. So Moses gets the blessing of his father-in-law to go, and God gives him the current landscape of what it looks like back in Egypt. He says that everyone who remembered what you did, Moses, they've died. You're gonna be okay. So Moses and his family pack up their things and they head out. Let's continue to see what's gonna happen in our story and read verses 21 through 23. On his way, Moses receives instructions from the Lord. He says, when you get there, remember those cool things I did? You know, like the snake thing and the disease thing with the coat and healing you and all, you know, those things? You're going to do those for the Pharaoh. You're going to ask him to let my people go. And guess what? He won't. So then you're going to tell him that since he refused, now God will kill his firstborn son. Now, if you know this story a little bit, you know that this is exactly what's going to happen, right? He's preparing Moses for what this journey is going to be and what God has for him and the people of Israel. But as he's on his way, the narrative takes a quick detour. So go ahead and continue reading verses 24 through 26 of chapter 4. The scene then shifts to Moses traveling and God apparently desiring to kill him. We don't really know why. But what we learn is that Moses has not yet circumcised his son, which is a ritual to be marked as one of God's chosen people. And he was headed back to be God's deliverer for the people of Egypt. But he had not yet confirmed his own son as a son of the covenant, as one of God's people. He had not yet identified himself as belonging to God, and this needed to get taken care of before he could call the Hebrew people into being the children of the covenant. So that's what they did. They circumcised their son and moved on. So let's wrap up the chapter and go ahead, do that by reading verses 27 through 31. So, we meet a new character. Moses' big brother Aaron has arrived in the story and is completely on board with everything that's happening. They head into Egypt and meet with the Hebrew leaders, and it goes wonderfully. The people are convinced that this is what the Lord has promised them. This is how God is going to free them from slavery, how they're going to go from Egypt to the promised land. Could you imagine how this felt for them? They've been in slavery for almost 500 years now. They've been waiting for God to deliver on his promises for generations and generation, and finally, it's time. So what's their response to God's faithfulness? Well, it says there in the last verse of the chapter, they bowed down and worshiped. And I hope through seeing Moses' doubts and God's provision and answers to those doubts, that we begin to see how faithful God is. That he has never broken a promise. He has never forgotten his people. He has never failed and never will fail. So today, let's worship this faithful God in remembering what he has done for us today. Have a great day, and we'll see you back, and we'll see how this first conversation goes with Pharaoh. We'll see you in the next base camp.